show for a long time, so she's finally come onto the show. Her name is Maria. She's the CEO, the owner of Lakai Tacos out there in Trussville in Birmingham, Alabama. But this conversation here we're going to have today, let me drink a little coffee. Hold on. That is good. Butterscotch. It's salty butterscotch coffee right here. The filter. This is mine with the honey oat milk. Y'all need to come in and get that. But anyway, on today's show, we're going to have a conversation that is going to take us in a place where we're going to talk about things that are happening in our country, right? And we're going to have the conversation and we're going to tell a story. So I want you guys to hang out for that. But before I get into the story and I get into Maria's story with her family, her lovely husband that's been working out, her kids, right? You know, and we got some people in the audience that are going to be speaking in too. Before we get into all of that, y'all, on Coffee Conversations, I want to say this to everybody. Don't be afraid to reinvent yourself, right? I'm now 54, and people who have been following Joe like have seen me go through a plethora of transformations of reinventing myself from the handyman to being on TV to being in radio to doing podcasting. And what I see in 2025 is I see a lot of people are afraid right now because what may be going on with your situation at home or what may be going on in the world. I would tell everybody this honestly, right? Over coffee and conversations. Never be afraid to reinvent yourself. Learn a new skill, right? Go get your hair done. Go get your hair colored, right? Cut your hair off. If your hair, I'm bald headed, cut it off, right? Change up your clothes. Do something to make you feel better when you're feeling bad, right? On this conversation, I want people to understand is that it's never too late for you to reinvent yourself. Don't let nobody tell you what you cannot do, right? So for me, if you guys see me constantly, I'm always constantly reinventing myself, trying to figure out ways to better myself, right? So whatever you got going on while you're drinking your coffee, think about what color you're going to color your hair, what new outfit you're going to get for yourself, what new shoes you're going to go buy for yourself, right? How about changing up that style that you have, right? Don't let them call you grandmom or grandpa unless you like that. But you just may be G-ma or G-pa or just maybe Joe, just like me. All right, guys, just a little tad bit from your boy Joe Lockett. But now I want to get into the conversation with my good friend Maria here. And she's a fabulous mom, an entrepreneur here in this country. But she's been called an immigrant, and she's an immigrant, and she's a proud immigrant. And we're going to have this conversation today because there are things out there that people are feeling. And we want to have an honest and open conversation. And I'm very happy to have someone who's going to be able to explain some things to me because some things she have told me that myself, honestly, I did not know. So without any further ado, the one and only, and I cannot pronounce her last name, so I'm going to make sure she pronounces it. Welcome to the show, Maria
Greguol.
Greguol.
It's okay.
Greguol.
Greguol. Maria Greguol.
Greguol. Greguol.
Yes, sir.
Maria Greguol. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We're so glad to have you on the show. So how you doing?
I'm doing very well. Enjoying my coffee here with some
espresso.
Mm-hmm.
So how's business going for you?
Business has been good. The business has been good to me. Lately, it's been a little up and down a bit. Everybody is going through the ups and downs of the beginning of the year and all the uncertainty that we have and the economy, how it's doing. So it's been a struggle. I can say that it feels like 2020.
Really?
Yes.
So before we get into your story, I want to talk a little bit about your restaurant.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Because I love the tacos there.
Thank you.
Right. And it's called La Calle. Now, I did not know before I started learning how to speak Spanish that it meant street.
Yes.
So how did you come up with that name?
So it was weird how we came up with the name. But the main reason is because we sell Mexican street food. So we sell authentic Mexican street food.
Yes.
And when we came out with the name La Calle, kind of brought everything together, a whole concept. If you did notice, but our floor is a road. Yes, it's a street. So it all came together after that name.
It made sense because you allowed us to do our radio podcast from there a couple times live. So one day I looked down, right, and I was like, "What is this?" And it's La Calle. I'm like, "La Calle what?"
Yeah.
But I said, "La Calle what?" Right? They're like, "It means street, dude."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, okay."
A lot of people were saying, "Doesn't that mean road?" And I'm like, "No, it's more like a street." So we sell street food.
Okay, so can I ask you this question? What's the difference between a street taco and a taco?
Okay, so A street style taco, I guess you will say, it comes with, first of all, there's no ground beef or shredded chicken.
So what now?
No ground beef or shredded chicken.
So what now?
No.
What?
Street tacos are mainly made of steak or pastor or chorizo or any other thing that you can do on a grill.
Okay.
You're on the street, you're gonna get stuff fresh from the grill.
Okay.
And well, in our case, we make handmade tortillas. I don't know about everybody else, but we do make handmade tortillas. And a street taco also, it's a tiny taco, but
It
here in
is.
the United States, everything's bigger, right?
So
we
so the
make big
taco we have,
tacos.
so the taco that we have is really not the original taco.
No, and it's okay to have an American taco.
So that's an American taco. It's not from Mexico for real.
No.
So off the taco. So when you in Mexico, you actually eat really small.
Oh, the tacos in Mexico are tiny little bitty ones. I mean, you have to eat an order of tacos is usually 5 tacos,
I did not know
but
that.
they're tiny. They're tiny.
I guess so. They came to America and they made everything more grande.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if that's because we come to Texas and everything in Texas is. I'm not sure.
Right.
I'm not
right,
sure,
right.
but somewhere along the way we ended up with these huge tacos.
Right.
And our tacos, I mean, they're on the smaller side, but when I go back to Mexico and then I eat tacos, I'm like, huh. I wonder what they would think if I sell these tiny tacos.
Right,
Although
right,
there's
right,
some
right.
places in Texas and other places that are closer to Mexico that they do sell the
smaller taco,
authentic
the authentic
smaller
taco.
taco. Yes, sir.
Well, so I want to say, before we even go any further in the story, where's your shop located?
It's located in Trustful in the Promenade One shopping strip. We are where the movie theater is.
Yeah.
So it's 5915 Trustful Crossings Parkway.
And what days are you open?
We're open Tuesday through Sunday.
Okay, so
And we do have promotions on Taco Tuesday. It's all day. We have $225 tacos and $5 margaritas all day long.
I may have to come over there next Tuesday
Yes,
to
you
get some
do.
of that
And
margaritas.
have a margarita.
Now let's get into your story, Maria.
Sure thing.
Y'all ready? Grab your coffee. Maria, how did you get to this country?
I was forced.
Wait a minute, what?
Well, okay. So hear me out.
Okay.
I'm a city girl. I am from Monterrey, Mexico. I'm half Italian, but I was born and raised up until I was 14 in Monterrey, Mexico.
Mhm.
And I am just a free spirit ever since I was a little girl.
Okay.
We had been going with my dad. My dad worked for a person that was a candidate to the presidency, and unfortunately, that man got killed.
Mhm.
And so everything started going downhill for us. There was a lot of people. There was a lot of issues in the country with after his death. And so my parents tried to do something else. My dad, it's an immigrant since he was 14 as well, because he left Italy when he was 14, and he lived in several places around Europe and Saudi Arabia. So for him, moving from place to place was not new. And they decided to come here to Alabama because we have some relatives here. And so I was 14, I'm a teenager. I like to be with my friends. I like to go out. But then they brought me to Blount County, Alabama.
Wait a minute, Blount County?
Blount County. I'm a country girl. I am a country girl. And to me, I cried for 3 months straight.
You cried?
I cried for 3 months straight because I was used to, go to school by myself or grab a bus or a taxi cab or,
And this was in Mexico, right?
This was in Mexico. I was
Okay.
used to be free. And then
Okay.
you come and bring me to this little town where if you don't have a car, you can't go anywhere. If you don't know someone to take you places, you can't. It's not like I could walk to places.
Right.
So, I started getting used to it. But my main thing here is that I didn't have a choice. I was broke here. And I came on a tourist visa.
Okay.
Obviously, after some time, my visa expired. But I was in school. I did not know the difference between having a status or not having a status, or I was just there. My parents
Right.
brought me, put me in high school. I think I was in the 8th grade when I came, and I just had to go along with it.
Mhm. So let me ask you this question. Why did your father choose Alabama?
Because we had relatives here, but I asked myself the same question.
I'm like,
But let me tell you something.
Okay.
Let me tell you something, because
Okay.
everybody says, Alabama, blah, blah, blah. I don't think I would choose another place to raise my kids,
wow,
because
I love that.
even though Yes, everybody says that, for the end of the world, you want to be in Alabama because everything happens 10 years later. I think to me, has been a safe place. Yes, I grew up in a city, but it was a very dangerous place.
Mhm.
And I don't know where my kids would be if I had to raise them in the
In
big
Mexico.
city.
In Mexico. Okay.
Yes, well, not just Mexico, but just a big
Oh, in the
city.
big
A
city.
big city
Okay.
itself, it's always a little more dangerous. So I am comfortable with like my daughter, my 17-year-old, driving to their friend's house or going
Gotcha.
places, or I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna spend the night there, and I'm comfortable with that. Because I feel that they're safe. So yes, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on our state, a lot of stuff that's unfortunately against some of our immigrant community,
Mhm.
but in the same time, it is a very safe place.
Well, that's good. So you got here 14 years old, Mexico. Dad brought you here, took you to Blount County,
Blount
right?
County, yes, sir.
And so, how was that experience being in school? Did you speak English at the time?
I I thought I did because in Mexico, just like they teach you Spanish here, you have a
Right, right,
class, they teach you English there, but it was just like good morning, how are you? And
right.
other than that, I
Like my
didn't know.
Spanish.
Right? No, a little less. So when I came, I did not speak a word of English.
Okay.
And but I like to talk. I've always liked to talk. I love to talk. I can talk for hours, for days, for weeks on subjects. I like to educate myself on things. So I just, everything around me was
Right.
English.
Okay.
All the girls, friends that I wanted to be friends with, they didn't speak Spanish, obviously. So I had to make myself learn the English language. And the ESL class, schools have an ESL class that is English as a second language. These classes do help a lot
Okay.
with the kids that are coming, not just from Hispanic communities or Hispanic countries, but from other countries as well.
Okay. So let me ask you this question, because you can answer this perfectly, right?
Hopefully.
As a kid, no, you can, because as 14 years old, right? Is it easier to learn a language than it is when you're an adult?
Definitely. The younger you are, the easiest. I mean,
Because
I
you don't
learned
like
it
care, right?
within 6 months. I was out of that class, but you're not going
Right.
to ask a 50-year-old person, 40-year-old person to learn a language.
Yeah.
One, because as my friend was mentioning, you don't have the time.
Yeah.
You have when you're a kid, your responsibility is to go to school.
Yes.
And that should be the only responsibility and the only worry that kids should have.
Mhm.
Go to school, learn your stuff. But when you're older, you have to go to work,
Mhm.
you have to pay the bills, your head, sometimes even if you have the time,
Right.
you have so much going on in your head
Right.
with your responsibilities and how you're going to make ends meet and how you're going to pay for mortgage, for your car loan, for whatever else you have to pay. It's so much in your head that
Right.
when you're trying to learn something different, something new, it takes
It's
a little
time.
effort, more effort, way more effort.
So you're here 14 years old, you learn English about 6 months, right?
Yes.
Um, now what was the transformation for you, right? Because I need to ask you this, and if you don't want to answer this question, it's okay, but I want to ask this question, right? Were you legal during that time? So you had a tourist visa, right?
Mhm.
So with a tourist visa, are you really able to go to school on a tourist visa?
Well, let me tell you something. So George Bush, and I believe this was George Bush's father,
Okay.
signed a law, the No Child Left Behind law,
Okay.
and that included undocumented and documented immigrants. I did not know this.
Right.
Okay,
You just going to school.
let me tell you how I found out about this, and I'm
Okay.
going to go a little forward on the story.
Sure.
So when I was 17, my mom decided to go back to Mexico, and my daddy was going to stay, but I didn't want to stay with my dad, so I ended up living with my mother. And then later on, I was like, I don't know. I think I just, later on, we were supposed to come back and do other things. But
Uh-huh.
when I grabbed that plane and I arrived in immigration, it was all new for me. It was the first time I ever ride in a plane. I didn't know, no, I had to fill out this application to enter the United States. So I missed it. Long story short, I ended up with immigration, right? And I'm over there speaking my perfect English. Well, to them, it was perfect. And the guy asked me, "It's like, how do you speak English so well?" I was like, "Well, because I went to school there." And he was like, "But you can go to school." But she was like, "But you did not have a status. You're not documented to go to school." I was like, "Well, they didn't say anything. They enrolled me and they didn't ask me no questions." And they were like, "Yeah, because that's because the president had signed, but you were not supposed to." I was like, "Well, I don't know." But
Of course you did.
they called my dad, and my dad at that time already had his status all straightened out and everything, and so they gave me the pass. But kids don't know,
Yeah.
you know.
And we don't care. Kids don't care.
No,
That,
and they just they don't know,
right,
and
right.
this is my thing. Like they know they have to go to school, and that's the only thing. Kids, documented, undocumented, immigrants or not immigrants, they should only worry about their education and bringing good grades home and getting educated at home, as well as fun as manners and all this, everything that comes with an education. They
Okay.
should not be worrying about adults' problems.
Okay. And so this is the conversation we're having, right? And it's going to get a little tough here. So
Okay.
again, you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. But I'm quite sure our listeners that are watching this, right, will say,
Mhm.
okay,
Yes, sir.
so how do you feel about, you know, parents that say, well, I don't want my kids in the school with someone that's documented, undocumented, right? Immigrant.
How do you decide who's undocumented and documented?
No?
Exactly.
Okay.
You don't. You can't. And this is where profiling comes.
Okay.
And, I mentioned to you, there's a couple of laws right now in Congress in Alabama that are targeting certain people.
Mhm.
How do you know? As far as I know, undocumented immigrants come in all colors and all
Mhm.
shapes and sizes, because we're not having people only coming from, then again, our Hispanic countries.
Mhm.
We have people coming from Europe, from Asia, from everywhere in the world, but because they don't look a lot different
Mhm.
than people that are citizens of the United States, we don't point them out.
Can I ask you this question here? Because I'm curious. Um, what is an undocumented immigrant? What does that entail? Because you said you're undocumented. Okay. Did you illegally come into the country? Did
Nope.
you have okay, so that's what I'm saying. So because the word undocumented makes it seem like you snuck in the middle of the night and something happened. So can you explain to us and me, the audience, what is undocumented? What rights and do they have in this country?
So a lot of people don't know, and they keep calling some of these people criminals.
Okay.
Which, I don't know if you know, but crossing the border illegally, which, and I'm gonna get into that, but crossing the border illegally, that means like crossing the border without being detected, if you will. It's a civil crime. It's not. I don't know. I can't remember what the other word for the other,
A federal crime.
a federal, whatever. It's civil, so it's not like a big deal.
But hold on, Maria. Now, well, no, because you say it's not a big deal.
Not in the eyes of the law,
Okay.
for
Okay.
per se. Yes,
Okay.
it is a big deal, but
Okay.
in
I
law
understand.
wise, it's not
Right.
like a crime, like you committed a federal offense, you killed somebody, or
Right.
there's another word, but I can't think of it. But anyway,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of ways that you can get here.
Okay.
For instance, me, I
Mhm.
came to the border. I'm half Italian and I'm half Mexican.
Right.
I have a dual citizenship.
Mhm.
So when you're from Mexico or other countries, you have to apply for a visa,
Mhm.
which is a hustle trying to get, because they charge you a lot of money trying to get to these appointments. They treat you like crap, literally. And I'm not just saying that. I've been
Mhm.
there, done that. And then Europeans have sort of a pass. So Europeans have a visa waiver. And it used to be where you could just show up with your European passport and they would, ask you the questions, blah, 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 steal your passport and you can come through. Now you have to fill out an application online, which is an ESTA. And, you fill out all your information. They ask you when you're coming back, why are you coming, blah, blah, blah. And that lasts for 2 years. So it's sort of like a visa, but you don't have to be present in the consulate or anything like that.
Mhm.
And you come, most people that come from Europe and other places, they come that way.
Mhm.
Now there's another thing. We have a lot of asylum seekers here.
Okay.
And lately, with things going really bad in everywhere in the world,
Mhm.
but there is a lot of countries where crime is really, 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 really bad.
Mhm.
In other countries where communism has taken over and people literally have no rights.
Mhm.
And so these people are trying to flee these places, right?
Mhm.
Now, what people don't know is that in order to seek asylum, you have to be present at the border. You can't just be sitting at the comfort of your couch at home and fill out applications from your home country.
Okay.
So you have to be present.
Mhm.
You have to go to immigration. You have to
Mhm.
come and turn yourself in and say, hey, I'm here. This is what's going on, and I'm seeking asylum.
Mhm.
And then they have to process you. Now,
Mhm.
this process is not easy because I've heard, then again, they don't get treated nicely.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's really, really cold. Sometimes they have to cross during winter or whatnot,
Mhm.
and they literally take everything from them.
Mhm.
Um, they put them in cages.
Wait a minute. What?
There's cages in
Is there,
immigration.
are there cages or there are sales?
They're cages. They are literally cages, and they give them this silver. And like I said, I'm not just saying this because I've seen it on TikTok or Facebook. So I've heard it from people that has come from Venezuela. I've heard it from people that has come from Honduras,
Mhm.
and I knew this lady that got separated from her kid when she crossed the border with her kid.
Can I ask you about that? Because I don't mean to cut you off, but I
No, you're
want
good.
I want to ask you here. So when immigrants, and this is okay to say immigrants. Okay, so when
Yes.
immigrants are coming across, right, and you're leaving your home because it's most likely it's dangerous, right? So you want to get out of there, right? Do the parents not understand that they can be separated from their child at the border?
And I'm glad you asked that question
Yes.
because a lot of people that come seeking a better life, just like anybody would do, I'm guessing I would do it for my kids. But if I live in a place where there is no chances, there's no opportunity,
Mhm.
where I am just, living with the fear of maybe a gang member coming and grab my 17-year-old, my 12-year-old child,
Mhm.
or have them traffic them or threaten my family that if certain person of my family doesn't join them, they're gonna come back and kill my kids because they can do this. So if I'm living in a place where I have no chances, I will take I will take or go to a place where maybe I get one chance. If there was that one opportunity,
Mhm.
if suffering all that, going through the jungle, because
Mhm.
the people that come from Venezuela, they have to go through the jungle and it's not pretty. Sometimes they don't have water, they don't have food, and they're risking all that. They're risking their
So let me
lives
ask. Can I
for
ask you
that
this?
one chance.
And I need to jump in right there just a tad bit because when immigrants are leaving their country, the country are not allowing you. You have to sneak out of your own country
In Venezuela, yes.
because I think that's another thing that I did not know myself. Right,
Hmm.
you're coming to this country, but you're not supposed to. They don't want you to leave your country, so you have to sneak out of your country
Just
to
like
come here. You just can't get on an airplane and say I'm going to America or get in a car and go across the. You cannot do that.
no, just like in Cuba, and I don't know how things are with Cuba right
Mhm.
nowadays, but when Castro or whatever started the revolution
Right.
and it became a communist country, they were not allowed to leave. If you see movies about Cuba,
Mhm.
and we see sometimes, I know that we're allowed to travel to Cuba now. I don't know if we can still because everything's changing so much.
Right.
But you see the tourist part of Cuba, but you never see the part where
You never
people
see the
actually
country.
live in
Right.
Cuba, and
Yeah.
they live. I mean, even though they have doctor degrees, and because everybody has education, but they can't do anything with that
And
because they don't have the opportunity.
gotcha.
Because everybody has to live on a level and live the same, and so I mean, we have a lot of immigrants literally that will leave, or doctors that come from Guatemala, from all these places, and they come here for the opportunity and work in construction or
Mhm.
cleaning houses
Mhm.
or doing whatever they can to take advantage of that opportunity.
So let me ask you this, Maria, as I'm listening to your story, because your father came here, you was brought to Alabama at the age of 14. When parents are in this situation with their kids, right, and they come to this country, and whatever the dire circumstances they may have in that country to come here, what is the expectation, right, for the mom and dad coming to a country? Do they say, okay, I'm going to go to the border and I'm going to, you know what I'm saying, try to do it the right way and say, hey, I'm here, blah blah blah, or is it the concept that I'm leaving my country, I'm going somewhere, and I'm going to try to sneak into another country and live? Because this is what a lot of people in our country are thinking and feeling. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, your country is bad over there, right? So you're going to get on this truck, you're going to pay some people, right? You're going to come in the middle of the night and you're going to try to sneak into our country because things were bad for you over there. And then you're going to come over here and be on the taxpayer's dime, right? And you haven't did anything, and you're gonna try to go get the welfare and all this. That's the
that's
is
the
our,
concept that
right?
people has.
So
Yes,
can you explain to me, because you've been through it, people that do, and actually have a dreamer in the audience. We're gonna bring her on the show in a little while, but can you talk to the truth to the fact on this coffee and conversation with me this morning and break this down to me?
Well, what I can say is that people don't sit in their houses and just look outside and say, "Oh, today's a good day for me to flee my country and go bother some U.S. citizens," and just enter and be happy there. Mm-hmm. The path that they have to go through, mm-hmm. it's hard. Now, not everybody can apply or seek asylum. It's only for certain countries.
Right.
And there are people from Mexico, Mexicans. Well, sometimes they can ask for asylum, but sometimes they can't. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean that they are living a good life. That doesn't mm-hmm. mean that they don't have the problem that we unfortunately have with the cartels, where they try to recruit, kids as young as 10, 12. And I think they're called Falcons. They're kind of like watching what's going on with the police and what's going on with everything. So when you feel the necessity to take that, it's not an easy path.
Right.
So you are willing to risk your life literally for that one chance.
Understood.
And you mentioned that we are coming here and taking taxpayers' money, when this is a misconception, because illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants cannot get help from the government. That is a misconception. If anybody, let's say that somebody's pregnant, mm-hmm. and that baby is going to be a U.S. citizen, yes, they will give their mom a week. In some instances, she might get a little bit of food stamps because she needs to be well in order to deliver that baby, mm-hmm. for the baby. As undocumented people, you can't apply for assistance. That's a myth.
Okay.
Now, another misconception is that because immigrants don't have a social security number, that they don't contribute to our society. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you some information and some numbers. I don't know it on the top of my head,
we
but
can pull them up.
There is ways, and undocumented immigrants do contribute, and they have contributed millions of dollars.
One thing I do know,
year.
like a business, there's an EIN number that businesses have. So I think, when you go work as I don't know if I now you can correct me because I don't know the system, but if you're undocumented worker but you're legally or you're on a tourist, they give you a number. It's called a TIN or something.
ITIN.
Okay, IT. Okay.
It's the individual tax identification number.
Right. So
and this is funny because we can't get a social security number to get anything. Mm-hmm. We can get an ITIN number to pay taxes, because the government wants to get their share.
So let me ask you another question, right? Because this is something that I don't know if it's true, because I think it does happen in our country, that most immigrant workers are being paid under the table and they don't pay taxes.
That's a lie. And I'm not saying that some of them might be, but just like any other United States citizen, mm-hmm. if you're under Social Security or mm-hmm. if you're receiving any kind of help where, if you work, mm-hmm. you can't get the help, right? You find a job where you can get some money under the table. So I'm not saying we're all angels and all undocumented immigrants or immigrants are angels and we don't break a plate.
Right.
We're human, and there's going to be bad and good. Right. And we can stereotype. Right. We've been stereotyped as drug dealers, mm-hmm. as rapists, mm-hmm. as killers, mm-hmm. And
you're taking people's jobs.
And we're taking people's jobs
because because that's one of the biggest things I think people are saying in our country, that the undocumented illegal immigrants are coming to America, right, and taking jobs from people like me and nephew and people in this coffee shop, right? Y'all are coming in and taking our jobs, and we don't like that, Maria.
I know. Who
I know I
want,
got a problem with that, Maria.
yeah,
I
we
got a
take
problem with y'all taking my
advantage. We
job.
take advantage. But let me
But
tell you, and this is on my personal note. I've been looking for a cashier for the past 2 months.
Mhm.
No one, no U.S. citizen has asked for that job. Up until recently, a week and a half ago, I
Mhm.
finally hired somebody. But for 2 months, I couldn't find one person. And it's not a hard work to do.
Mhm.
It's a cashier job, $12 an hour plus a little bit of tips. That wasn't bad, you know.
Mhm.
But I couldn't find one. And when they say they're taking our jobs, I'm like, here is a job, come and take it.
Right.
Now another thing is, do we really, we go to school, we have all these opportunities as U.S. citizens, we have all these opportunities, we go to school, I'm pretty sure you don't go to school to pick strawberries. You're not going to get a high school degree to pick tomatoes.
Mhm.
Right. And I've heard the other side too, where people are saying, oh, so we're going to take advantage of these immigrants. Then again, when you're living in a country where you are risking your life every day just to go grocery shopping,
Mhm.
you want to take that opportunity, and we are happy to do it. When I came here, I was at school, but during the summer I would work in this nursery, a flower nursery.
Mhm.
And I would have taken that job. I mean, they were paying me, I think, 7.25 an hour back then, and I was happy to do it because I was able to get some money for myself. um we like to I mean, we take the opportunity. We don't take, when we're here, we don't take it for granted. When I was in college, I remember I was a good student, and I
Uh-huh.
passed my psychology
Uh-huh.
class with an A. And my
Look at you, scholar.
my professor told me, he said, most immigrants that come here
Mhm.
always do well.
That's true.
Why? He said, why do you think that is?
Because you work harder, because you got, yeah.
I said, because we don't get these
Truly.
opportunities.
Exactly.
And when we get it, we make the best of it. You mentioned that we create jobs.
Mhm.
We do create jobs. If there is not a job for me, I'm going to create it. And we try to be good citizens,
Mhm.
um, paying our taxes. You file for a 1099 and you pay your portion of taxes. And most of the time, you cannot get a refund on that.
Let me ask you this question. Two things I want to ask you. So, what do you say to the people that say, Maria and Diana's in the audience right now? We don't care about you coming to our country, right? We just want y'all to do it the right way. I understand your story. I got it, right? What's going on in your country, but we want you to do it the right way. Just go to go through immigrations and do it the right way. And we don't have a problem with you. So, what do you say to people that say this to you guys?
What's the right way?
The right way is to go through immigrations,
Exactly.
file the paperwork,
And this
and
is
wait
where
your turn to come into the country. Correct? I think that's the right way.
and people's been
And we
doing
may have to
that.
bring also we have a dream in order because she can
That's what
speak
I was
more to
gonna.
this.
I was gonna give
So
the mic to
go ahead and grab the
Diana.
microphone because Diana, she's in the audience. She is actually a dreamer. So Diana, what do you say to people when they say that, hey, coming to the
To do it
country,
the right way.
do it the right, because you get, like you said, I understand the strife in
Mhm.
your country,
Yeah.
right? But you coming here has nothing to do with me and my family and our country. So if you're going to come here, go through immigrations, right? Get your passport, get your tourist visa or whatever, and do it the right way. To that, you say what?
Uh,
And welcome to the show.
oh, hi. Thank you. Well, my name is Dianet, and I've been living in this country for the past 22 years.
Mhm.
I was brought here when I was only 11 years old, not knowing the language. And I am currently a DACA recipient holder, which is deferred action
Mhm.
for children that were brought here under the age of 16. And I've been having DACA for the past 13 years.
Okay.
And there hasn't been a change. There is no path for my status to change.
Mhm.
And I know I'm not the only one. There are many in the same situation that I am currently on. And this renewal, we have to look over there. We have to do it every 2 years.
Mhm.
Every 2 years, we have to pay over $600 for an application. We have to, be good citizens,
Right.
not have any kind of criminal record,
Right.
obey the law,
Right.
pay our taxes, so that way we can continue to have that benefit.
Mhm.
But it's just that it doesn't take us anywhere.
It
And when
doesn't
they
change.
say do it the right way, what's the right way?
The right
And
way, what people would say is what you're doing, right? Because you're not now. Don't. I'm the messenger, right? So don't shoot me, right? But this is what people feel when because of the story and the ways it has been portrayed into the media, right? I lived in a foreign country, so I get it. But I'm asking the question because I just can't have you guys on the show and not ask the tough questions, right? So the conversation we have to go into, okay, so you asking what is the right way? I'm telling you, the right way is to go through immigrations and wait your turn to come in. Your situation at home is what it is, right? You may not never get to come in my country. That's fine. But that's this the way people look at it. That's not our problem. So there's no right way for you in the urgency that you have. It may not be that. But if you come in, like when I went to Japan, right, and I was going there, I had to apply after that 30-day I think it was 90-day tourist visa that I had.
90 days, yes.
90 days, I had to leave, regardless of my situation. You know what I'm saying? Whatever my situation was back home, I had to go home, right? So I couldn't stay in the country. You see what I'm saying? So people people in here for our country, all of us, right? Some people are saying, okay, if you're going to come in this country, go through immigration and wait your damn turn. If you're not going to go
Okay.
through immigration,
I have something
don't.
to say about
Sure,
that.
go ahead.
And I have then again, this
Sure.
is something that I didn't see or I didn't look. It wasn't from TikTok, Facebook, or whatever.
Okay.
This is a personal friend. She's from Venezuela. She immigrated to Italy, actually.
Okay.
Then while she was in Italy, she met a U.S. Army person because we close to where I'm from in Italy, there is an army base,
Mhm.
and they got married. Well, she had a kid from another previous marriage or whatever. Did the right way, like you're mentioning.
Right.
They sent all the paperwork asking for him to, because after, well, they lived in Italy, but then they moved to the United
America.
States.
Mhm.
While he was waiting a week before his papers were going to arrive for him to come to the United States, he left his house and was shot dead.
Mhm.
So when you go, first of all, to find an appointment to try to get your visa, if you will,
Right.
it's not it's
It's not
easy.
Yeah.
And it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
$600 or $200-300 in Mexico. It's about 4,000-6,000 pesos.
a lot of
Sometimes it's a 2 week salary for someone.
Right.
And not just that, when you get there,
Mhm.
you have to show them credit cards. You have to show them that you
Everything.
own your property.
Mhm.
You have to show them that you have stuff. If you're coming with a tourist visa.
Yeah.
But there is no way that I can, like I said, you cannot be sitting in your house and say, hey, I want to live in the United States.
Yeah.
Unless you have, and it's not $5 million. Let me just tell you that for that golden card, it's not $5 million. You can apply for a visa if you invest about $1 million and a little over $1 million in the United States. You can apply for a visa, for a working visa. I don't know any immigrant that would want a better life and has $1 million just sitting in his home to pay for that.
Right.
If they had it, it probably wouldn't be immigrating, right? So there is a right way, but it's different from everybody. And for instance, me, if I want to, my mom goes back and forth. And if I wanted to make my mom a resident, I can ask for her, but she has to be here.
Right.
In order for me to do all that paperwork. And she has to stay here until all that gets figured out. Now, these asylum seekers, when they come to the border, they have to wait. So there used to be an app that they could do all their paperwork or whatever for their appointment. And the Mexican president at the time had a deal worked out where they could stay in Mexico while they were waiting on their process. And sometimes they had to wait months living in tents and cold, hot, whatever. And there's a lot of organizations in Mexico that do try to help, but it's, sometimes it's just a lot. Now that app has been taken down. The border right now, I didn't know this, but I was told by my friend who's an immigration lawyer, border is closed.
Mhm.
So there is no
More
even
coming in right now.
exactly. There's no asylum for
Nothing.
anybody,
Yeah.
and people that were trying to seek for that are
It's done.
stuck.
Yeah.
So the thing is that yes, there is a right way, but it's different for everybody. And the
And see,
situation,
this is where the conversation. Excuse me, for intervening here, but this is where the conversation get convoluted, right? Because there is only right and wrong
Mhm.
when it comes to the law, what it is. I understand the situations, right? And trust me, I get it. But when we look at this in the conversation, it breaks down because I think when we're talking about the right and the wrong in the situations and the circumstances, how much money it costs, how the parents and the kids looking at their situations, right? Unfortunately, and I'm just going to speak on my side because I really don't want to put this on y'all. When I went to Japan, they didn't give a damn what my circumstance was. Either I had it or I didn't, or you're going back home, right? And I think that's the way, unfortunately, the way America feels about y'all situation, right? In here in this country, right? Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, it costs a lot of money. Yeah, you live in tents, right? But that's the right way to come into the country. Some people coming in, some people just not going to get that. And you don't deserve that because you're not born here. And to that, right, you say, well, now, like I said, it's a tough conversation, but this is what's being said, and we just need to have an open conversation about that.
right? And what I can tell you about that is that Japan is not a country of immigrants.
Okay.
Japan, it's just like Italy.
Mhm.
You know, in Italy, you don't become an Italian citizen just because you're born there. But here in the United States,
Mhm.
even the first sailors were immigrants.
Mhm.
So that's the difference between other countries and I'm gonna say America. And what makes America America? Because America, people says, oh, it's the whole continent. And North America, I have people telling me, to go back to my country several times in the past month. And they're like, yeah, you're illegal. I'm like, yeah, come and get me. I mean, I really don't care.
Uh-oh.
But America, to me,
Mhm.
it's the people that makes this country because it is the United States. The United States is the country as a land.
Okay.
But the reason we call it America is because it has so many from so many different backgrounds.
Right.
And this was told to me by my principal when I was in high school, and we were having some issues with racism. America is like a rainbow.
Mhm.
We have people from all ethnicities, from different backgrounds, and that's what makes America a great country.
Mhm.
We, like I said, like you mentioned, Japan, you can't compare it. The laws are different in Japan, and they're
Okay.
different here.
Okay.
And we're talking about immigration.
Right.
I could go if I had the USCIS page. You can go on there and you can see what you can do. But most of the time, you have to be present here. Now, like I said, I'm not saying
Okay.
that we have to have open borders.
Right.
There has to be somehow, some way to try to scan everybody that comes in because obviously we don't want criminals. And by all means, take them out. If you're coming here to this house, you need to respect it.
Mhm.
But we can't stereotype that we're all criminals because
True.
if you look at it, there's a very little percentage of undocumented or documented immigrants that are criminals. But we want to emphasize on that one or two people or maybe 100 comparing to the millions.
Okay. I think Dana wants to chime in there. Dan, you have something you want to chime in?
Oh yeah, about what she was mentioning, about Japan having different laws,
Mhm.
but we also have to see, that Japan successfully is a different type of country, compare to the countries where most immigrants come from.
Mhm.
They don't have the same opportunities as like to grow, because like if you weren't born with wealth,
Mhm.
or having any kind of influence for you
Mhm.
to grow, there is really not much future there.
Right.
And I mean, that's how I see why like my family made the decision
Mhm.
to move here, like for a better future, because I like looking at how my country is right now.
Mhm.
I wouldn't have the same opportunities that I had here.
And this is I think people watching the show today. Thank you guys for locking into Coffin's Conversations. We have Maria, the beautiful Maria, and have Diane on the show today. She's a dreamer, and she's legally here, and Maria, she's illegally here, right? So
Please don't call ice on this.
all right. So they're both legally here, but and we're having a conversation, a tough conversation. But I'm asking questions because I know a lot of people like Joe. You know better. So I want to make sure that I hear what you're saying. Japan is not the place of opportunity, right? That people want to go to. The laws are completely different. Everybody in Japan is Japanese.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
That's not my point, ladies. My point is the point of entry is the same, meaning that when you come into the country, whether Japan was the land of the free and opportunity, if I didn't have my stuff correct, they're not letting me in, right? And so when I'm asking, because I have not heard an answer from you, I'm kind of pressed a little bit. I hear the sympathy and the empathy there, but if you don't have your stuff correct to come into this country, there are people that are saying, no, you can't come in. Yes, it's going to be a long time. Yes, you may not get in. And to that, I'm asking, to that, you say what?
To that, I'm telling you that if I'm risking my family or my kids getting killed walking out the street, I'm gonna take that chance, and I might not do it the right way, but if that's gonna save my kid's life, I will do it anytime.
But you see what I'm saying? But that's the part I think. I'm glad you said it, so people don't understand. Something you want to add there?
Yeah, like
Sure.
doing it the right way. Yes, like she said, when asylum seekers are coming to get processed in the border, uh, sh- we've seen it all over the news on how like all the immigrants are treated, how they are not enough space to keep them, and also the processing time and the employees from ICE and the USCIS, they don't have enough workers to continue to process so many applications and to like follow
Right.
through and like all the people there, they're risking everything, like they're leaving everything behind.
Right.
They're coming here to get help,
Right.
because their country is not giving them that opportunity even to like meet months end. And all that they want is to come to a place where they can be able to work and give their kids a better future.
And
Be-
go ahead.
because like in my situation, and if I was to like move and take my girls back to my country, it's very risky.
Yes.
Because of how the drug crime is at the moment. And like she was mentioning, I mean, they want to have kids, looking out for like any police officers, and whether the kid want to be involved or not, they're threatened,
Right.
and they can get killed.
Right.
Not that long ago, it was on the news that in a little neighborhood, they had little kids, watching out for police, like 13, 14 years old, were killed in that shooting because of like drug cartels. Because one kid told the other, that the that the police was there and they were involved, like like what kind of future is that for a kid if we're not really giving them a hand to have a different future.
Okay. So I want you to do this for me, Maria, because we have a lot of people watching the show today. Because you say in Spanish, right? What I'm asking, because to the Spanish listeners, I want them to comment to what I'm saying, the question that I asked you, right?
Okay, claro que
Like
sí.
when you're coming into the country, the way I said, and I understand the situation there, but do it the right way, right? What do they feel is the right way, and the way Americans are looking at this, right? Because, like I said, the right way is through immigration. I hear with empathy and sympathy what you guys are saying. I'm going to take that chance on my child. I'm going to do what I got to go do.
Right.
Right. Got it. But on the other side, you do see the dichotomy, what happens on the other side of that, right?
Oh, and I understand that.
Right.
Yes.
And so ask the question to the audience, to the Hispanic listeners. What do they think, and put it in the chat.
Si hay alguien que nos está escuchando en español, él lo que pregunta es, ¿por qué no venimos aquí de la manera correcta? Right? You want to
Yeah.
know why we don't come here the right way.
Yeah.
And si hay alguien en español que nos esté comentando, nos pueden comentar, por favor, cuál fue su situación, o platíquenos su historia de por qué estamos aquí. ¿Cuál fue la historia que los empujó, que los trajo a buscar un nuevo futuro?
Because I think, when people say our country is the land of opportunity, it is.
It is.
Right? But it's a land of laws too. And like I said, this is what's said out there. I'm not. Please tell your people don't shoot the message. Okay. Please tell them. Please tell them I'm just.
Él dice que hace las preguntas solo porque, y yo quería que me hiciera esas preguntas. Quería que me hiciera esas preguntas porque obviamente quiero, o la razón por la que estoy aquí es para tratar de educar a la gente que tiene una opinión diferente. Entonces, él está haciendo preguntas fuertes porque son las preguntas que se está haciendo toda esta gente que quiere saber o que está en contra de la inmigración.
Thank you. Because this is where the conversation breaks down at,
Mm-hmm.
right? We don't talk about, because it sounds like if I'm not listening to you about your strife, that I don't care. You don't hear me because I'm saying I'm a land of laws and, immigrations, right? It don't match, right? And so when we're having this conversation with people who don't want to understand or don't want to listen, I think this is the breakdown that we have, right? Because both sides is right. With this conversation, I hope people start to understand that if you were in their situation, right?
What would you do?
You would probably do the exact same thing. And if y'all was in this situation where people are sitting on this side, would you be saying the same thing that they are saying? You see what I'm saying? Because if vice versa, right? On the other side, there are some people, and I can say this because I have seen this. There are some Hispanics here that are proud, right? And look at the people who come in illegally and say, do it the way I did it.
Well, let me tell you something about some of these people.
Okay.
They probably came here the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be a hypocrite if, I can say, oh, I'm a citizen. I got my residency and I'm a citizen, but you can come in.
Right.
I did it. I'm already here.
Right.
But now you have to follow the law.
Right.
It would be very hypocritical of me
right.
to not say or speak for I'm an immigrant, and I will always be an immigrant, and I will always speak out for my immigrant community. And the value that we bring here, sometimes, Joe, I think to myself, like, I wish we can try it out, and maybe for a month to not have any, let's not say immigrants, but undocumented help here and see what happens. Because it would go down very fast without the help of the farming. I mean, right now you can speak with farmers. They're struggling. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I can't remember, but the laws that they're trying to pass now, they tried that about 15 years ago.
Right.
And nobody wanted to work the fields because then again, you as a U.S. citizen, unless you are from a farming family, that is your legacy and you work there, but you still have to have workers because these fields are huge fields. It's not just a little piece of land. It's acres of land that you have to work. The fields were running. They offered the job to inmates. They brought inmates to do this job, paying them double. They didn't want to do the job. Who wants to work 10 hours under the sun? We don't. I don't. That's why I opened my own restaurant so that I would have a job opportunity. I made an opportunity for myself.
Right.
So we bring something, whether regardless of how we come here,
Mhm.
we bring something. And then again, I know there is people, there's always good and bad. And I know there are some bad immigrants, some bad undocumented immigrants. And I'm all I can think is like, you're here. Why are you messing this up for all of us? Because it can be millions doing the right thing,
And
but
one or
then
two
you
people.
have that one person that's doing the wrong thing, and we all get judged.
Right.
And I'm
Trust me, I know.
Venezuelans, right? Right,
Yeah,
exactly. Venezuelans.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Right.
coming here, they're trying to get
work.
to work, and then there's this idiot on TikTok saying, "Oh, we're getting all this help, and I'm not doing anything." And because of this idiot, now everybody thinks that Venezuelans are leeches and they're just coming here to get help and they're not doing anything for themselves.
Yeah.
I think Dana wants to say something.
Yes, what she just mentioned, that particular person
Mhm.
was the one that started all. I feel like it was the one that started all the hate against grouping
Mhm.
all Hispanics and all immigrants.
On social media.
Unfortunately, yes. Because like I said, I've been here over 20 years and I've never received any type of benefit from the government. I mean, not food stamps, not Medicaid, because I had to have a social before I had a legal status to be able to get any kind of help. But with the status that I'm on, I
So you're a
can't
dreamer,
get-
correct?
I am.
So
And-
with the dream, I want people to understand this because I think there's another misconception about having dreamers out in the country that you're taking the benefits, you're taking the tax rate. So explain, as a dreamer, being here for 20 years, what do you get from the federal government?
Nothing.
What can you get from the federal government? If you were to apply, what could you get as a dreamer?
Nothing. The only thing that I pay for
Mhm.
every 2 years is for my work permit to be able to work here legally
So you can't
and
you
be
can't
able to
you
have a
can't get
driver's
Medicaid.
license.
Nope.
No,
Right. So you can't get food stamps.
Nope.
no,
So you can't get Section 8.
No,
You can't get any. If you apply for it, you can't get it
no.
at all.
she's not legible.
There's no way that you could come into this country as your dreamer and get any of these things.
No, because I mean, right now the DACA program,
Mhm.
it's only available for recipients that apply ever since 2012. You can renew because with the previous administration 4 years ago,
Mhm.
they stopped processing
New applicants.
new applicants. So all those kids that didn't turn 16 years old
Mhm.
as of that time, they don't have a legal status.
So let me ask you
They
this
can't-
question because I don't know this. Asking people are saying, right? And I'm saying this. You said people, Joe, who you people talking about? I see on social media. Okay, so I don't know the truth. I didn't get this from no particular person. Okay, but I have seen this in the grocery stores. How do I see Hispanics, right, with the cards that they have, like when they're shopping, right? And I think this makes some people jealous or upset, right? That they pull out this card, this Wicker card, and they're shopping for like, their grocery baskets like 2 baskets full, right? And they didn't got, and I've seen the cards, right?
Then
And
again, how do you know they're undocumented?
Like I said, like I just said, I don't know
Exactly.
anything. I'm going by honestly,
No,
looks.
and yeah,
right?
and
So when you see
Yes.
them, they're young, right? And they're dressed a certain way, and you see them with maybe 3 or 4 kids. Don't shoot the mess. I'm just telling you what I see, right? That's the mindset that a person sees this, that's working hard, and see them pull out that card, right? And with the narrative out there. And okay, so is it possible? And I'm just asking again, can undocumented illegal immigrants get food stamps any kind of way or whatever?
if the person is pregnant,
Mhm.
she might be eligible for food stamps for the baby,
Mhm.
Yeah.
not for us.
But
It's like when I adjusted my status as I can't remember, it was to become a citizen.
Mhm.
They asked me if I've ever asked for any help, and I said, well, back in the day, I had week
Mhm.
with my first 2 kids. I said in the emergency Medicaid
But you
for
was
my
legally
first
here.
one. When I had my first kid, no.
No, okay.
So I had emergency Medicaid
Mhm.
that was for the baby, not for me,
Mhm.
and weak. I never got food stamps.
Okay.
And so, and she said, "Oh, but that wasn't for you. This is the immigration officer." She said, "That wasn't for you. That was for your baby."
Mm.
So, citizens, yes, the citizens will get help.
Okay.
But if you're just getting here, and I know that for Venezuelans, and I'm not Venezuelan, so but I'm trying to get just a little bit of information. I know that we're getting some kind of help from, if I'm not mistaken, this was from the state of New York.
Okay.
So it wasn't on the federal level.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't know anyone that would get help. And like you said, you come in and you show this, and hey, I am completely against people that take advantage of all these helps, because there is people that really need it.
Right.
And when we take advantage of it, when you see someone with an iPhone, I mean, my iPhone is a 13, okay, and I'm a business owner.
Right.
But when you see someone with an iPhone 16 and a Gucci bag or a Louis Vuitton
driving
or
a nice
whatever,
car, yeah.
and you're paying with food stamps, something it's not right.
Yeah.
But see, it's not only immigrant. I've seen it. There's then again, the stereotyping.
The stereotype. Yeah.
It's stereotyping.
Yeah.
That doesn't
I'm
mean
guilty of it because like I said, when I see it, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, because I mean, when I go to the grocery store, and I fill my cart, I even take a list to just buy,
Exactly what's on the-
like exactly
Right.
what's on my list and what I need.
She's good with budgeting.
Right.
And then I go and try to pay for like what I'm taking, but then I turn around and then I see people paying, but with their
Yeah.
food card.
So you think the same thing a little bit too, right?
Yeah, and I've seen it, and I haven't only just seen it with Hispanics. I mean, I've
and
seen
with
it
everybody, yeah.
with
But
many different
nationalities.
color and ethnicities. I'm like, okay, well, I guess
So let me ask you this question, Diana. The baby, when it's born here in America, they are a citizen, correct?
Yes.
So can the parents start to get benefits because their baby?
No.
I'm saying, but in under the for the baby, like
Nope.
taking care of, so it's only for a short period of time for
Yes.
that baby because in the
Yes.
citizen, so the parent can't file for anything for that baby to take care of while it's here.
No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
You can't get
No.
no kind of living assistance or
Nope.
anything for that
No.
baby.
No, it's only, if I'm not mistaken, up to 2 years, 4 years,
for what, for the
for like week or any kind of like
yeah,
food
but
help.
only if you are like in the low poverty, that's how you would qualify.
Okay.
And
But only up until the baby. Don't quote me
Yeah.
on this, because my last baby's 8
But-
years old, and I hadn't had assistance for the past 20 years. So I did. I
Right.
was in need of assistance, and I did get assistance
Right.
for my kid. Other than that, I had never asked for anything. One, because at the beginning I wasn't eligible,
Right.
and two, because I could work. But when you go there and you're like, oh, I'm pregnant, they automatically give you all these things that you're like, but I don't need this. So when my
Yeah.
husband started doing well, and then I started doing well, I said, we don't need this. We can buy our own powder milk for the baby. But it only lasts until the baby's I can't remember if it's 2 or 5 years old. But after that,
It's 5.
it's that. The government will help you raise that baby healthy up until a certain point, but after that, that's it.
Okay. So, and I truly believe is a misconception myself, right? That immigrants come to this country and they are lazy. Now, I have not seen myself personally. I've seen, in every ethnicity, there are lazy people. But usually when I see anybody come to this country, I don't care if it's from Mexico or from any other country, right? They're trying to better themselves. And I've seen for the most part, right, that they're the ones doing the jobs nobody want to do,
Right.
and and I'm not saying every immigrant does this, y'all, but their storyline would be different than the person that has the opportunity and wasting it, right? And that's what I see a lot of. I think the narrative, even like for me being a black man, the narrative could be easily right now that black people are criminals, and and I'm a drug dealer. I'm neither nor. I've never been in jail. right? I've never
Exactly.
dealt drugs,
Stereotype.
right?
Yeah.
But that's what that is. So the story has been that for me all my life.
Mhm.
The stories that you had at your dinner table, Maria, down to the stories you had at your dinner table, the stories I had at my dinner table, and the story that a white person had at their dinner table is completely different
Yes.
when we go outside. I've said this many times on all my shows, right? My father told me in America, right, that when you go outside, I have to be 10 times better and act 10 times, 100 times better than the next person, right? I just can't walk down the street with three of my friends without the police pulling us over, thinking that I got drugs on me, right? Where there may be a white young man, right, that's hanging out with his kids, right? When he get pulled over, they're not going to get treated possibly,
The same.
okay,
Mhm.
the same way I may have gotten treated, right? So, like I said, the conversations that
And
white father's having with his son, and the
Are totally
conversation
different.
that my
they're
father had
different.
with
And let
my
me
son
tell
is
you
different.
something. I have never, ever, ever, ever felt different ever since I arrived. Everybody looked at me like I was crazy in a way because I guess because I come from a big city and most people that come here are from rural areas.
Mhm.
But I fell right in. I mean, I felt like I was home,
Right.
going to high school because
I don't know how
I
you
was in
felt. I
high
don't know how you
school.
feel right in Blunt County, but okay.
Oh,
Exactly, but
I-
see, that's the thing. I didn't feel any different,
Okay.
and all through the years that I've lived here, I have now felt different because I don't allow. I'm not different.
Mm.
To me, I'm not different. That's what I teach my kids. In my house, we never speak race, we never speak color, we never to refer to a person. I never talk about color. It's either hair
Mhm.
or something else, some other feature. But today, in these past 2 months, I had to have that conversation with my kids, and it broke my heart
Mm.
because they're proud immigrants. They know they're Mexican and they know they're half Italian, and they say it proudly and they speak their Spanish proudly. Not well. We
Really?
tried. Oh yes. Yes, my 8-year-old struggled, but now she speaks a little more. We've been traveling to Mexico a little more often, so she gets to practice it. But I had to have that conversation about, bullying at school, which my 17-year-old has been bullied
My kids too. Yeah.
forever, but she's a strong lady. She knows how to defend herself. And I'm like, why don't you tell me? She's like, Ma, it's like, giving them power. I honestly don't care. So, but they know. And I had to have that conversation about if ICE comes to the school and, if they try to have a conversation with them, which they're not allowed. Nobody has the right to talk to a minor without a parent present.
Okay.
But
That's good
I
information.
have to had that conversation
That's a
with
tough
them.
conversation.
And like I said, it broke my heart to even imply that there was a little difference between them and their friends.
Mhm.
Now, I do want to bring out this little girl's name
Okay.
because I think she needs to be known. But Jocelyn Carranza, and I hope I'm saying her name right because I did not thought about bringing her up today.
Mm.
But this little girl was bullied so bad at school by her peers that she committed suicide. She was 10 years old.
Wow.
And this is where I emphasize that kids should not be worried about adult problems.
Yes.
They need to worry about school and having good grades and maybe have an extracurriculum activity.
Mm.
So I did want to mention her.
Right. No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
Just,
I know
yeah.
I know what I said, and I'm
Yeah.
not going to repeat it.
Right.
But
We just use the word unalive.
I know,
Yeah.
and trust me, all this censoring with it, and I'll try to listen to TikTok. And the first time when I started TikTok, I don't use TikTok a lot. I was like, why are they saying it like that? Like, why they
Right.
just? I'm sorry,
Right.
I'm sorry, it slipped out. But anyway, so I do want to have her name out there,
Mm. What's her name again?
Jocelyn Carranza.
Okay.
To go through that, I mean, that could have been me.
Right.
Because kids don't come to you and tell you, like my daughters, they don't come to me and tell me they're bullied. Francesca, she handled like herself, blah, 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 whatever.
Mm.
And I read some horrible comments on the news.
Stop reading. Yeah.
I know.
Stop reading.
I
Yeah,
know.
stop
And
it.
they were like, well, is her parents' fault for bringing her here?
Yeah.
It's why didn't they have that conversation? That's what I remember, and I brought it up.
And this is why I hope this conversation, what we're having today, lets people have a insight, right, to the thinking, the situation, And when the parents bring their kids here, they know that, I may lose my kid, but the opportunity will be in America instead of Mexico or Venezuela, right? Hopefully, when everybody listens to this, you may not agree with the conversation here. You may disagree with Diana, you may disagree with Marie, may disagree with me.
And please, by all means, if they have questions, I will go back and read them and try
Right.
to.
We will have a conversation. I'm not for any hatred on this show, right? I'm not going to put up with that. I will ban you and block you, because I want to have the conversation in this country. Because what I hear
Civil
is,
conversation.
yes, a simple conversation. What I hear is empathy, sympathy, and laws, and then total human respect. How do we combine those things? And then this is the question I would ask everybody listening: what if it was you?
Right.
Right.
But
And that's it's not even pero. It's not even demo. It's not like a but. It's what if it was
What
you?
if?
Right.
Yes.
It was you.
And that's what I tell people: put a face to that.
Right.
Hear their stories.
Mhm.
Don't categorize them just because they're immigrants.
Mhm.
Hear their stories, know their stories, try to know their struggles.
Mhm.
Because I'm telling you, and me as a Hispanic and Italian,
Mhm.
our family values are like we're super tight with family members, like really tight. So
Mm.
for us to take that decision of leaving our country,
Mm.
our roots,
Mm.
our everything, and
That's
be
the
in another
biggest-
country, it's not an easy decision to make.
And this is what I would say to you ladies, right? Number one, thank you for coming on my show.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you so much. But please, I think we all have to have this conversation, but understand that some people don't care about your strife. Some people don't care about your kids. Some people don't care about what you're going through in your country. And they're going to say what they're going to say because they stand on the side of righteous of laws, and this is America. And that's just the way it is. And they are not wrong, because they are absolutely right in what they're saying. They can prove it is factual. But you're also not wrong for what you feel and what you're trying to do and what you may have to do, right, to get into a country. And I'm not saying it's right what you're doing. I'm not banning on that. But what I'm saying is, I understand if I was in that situation, it's a risk that I would be willing to take, right? And like I said, this is where the conversation breaks down in America with people, because nobody wants to hear the other side unless it's
Right.
them,
We don't
Unless-
want to have that
right?
conversation.
And that's why I asked you to come here,
And actually
Right.
listen, you
Right.
know.
because I'm not denigrating you, because I get it, right? But I think sometimes it get between my feelings and the law, and the conversation's not had. And here's the thing that I want to say to everybody listen to the show today. And please say this in Spanish for me too. It is not the kids' fault. Us as Americans and where we come from in this country, right? If we don't give a damn about anything else, we should want to make sure that every kid, right, is treated with respect when they come into this country.
Él lo que dice es que a final de cuentas, como americanos o ciudadanos americanos o no ciudadanos americanos, aquí la importancia es los niños. Siempre tenemos que ver por el futuro de los niños. No importa de dónde sean o de dónde vengan, tenemos que proteger a los niños.
Because if we don't start to take care of our kids, they are our future, no matter what this looks like.
they are.
Right. And I think, I have a empathy for the situation, but I also have a concern, right? Because like you said, there are people who come in and take advantage of the system. How do we fix that? I don't know. Is it being worked on? Yes. But the thing that I wanted people to get, and I want to bring you in down on the show today, thank you so much again for coming, to get rid of some of the myths. Like, you guys are taking people's jobs. You guys are getting all these benefits, right? All these different things is happening, which is really not happening to the people actually doing it the right way, right? You're not getting the benefits that people are saying that you're getting. You're not taking people work, and you are paying tax. You pay taxes, right?
Oh, wow.
You pay taxes? Okay. So
Yep.
these are the things that I think that nobody allows the conversation to come out, like how things are actually happening, right? Are there people in this country who don't pay taxes? Right? That's a lot of people who don't. Even Americans don't
Right.
pay their taxes.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying it's right on either side, but
No,
let's
but
have
that's what I'm saying, that it's not about being an immigrant, not being an immigrant, being black, being white, being Mexican. It's not
Right.
about that. It's just people.
Right.
You asked me yesterday
Mhm.
about why people don't learn the language when they come here.
I did, yes.
And
I was drilling her on the phone.
and you
yesterday.
know, and I told you that
Mm.
it was one, a preference
Mhm.
of reasoning. Like, I don't know what other people think. I do know that if I'm here and most of everybody speak English, I might want to communicate with them. But then I talking to Diana this morning, she was telling me, well, when you get here older,
Mhm.
when you're in your 30s, 40s,
Mhm.
and you get here and you have to work, like you were saying,
Mhm.
you have to work and you have to take care of your kids and you have to make sure that they're doing their school. You have to check their school, where you have to take care of your
Pay rent.
work, going up and down, cook dinner, wash clothes, whatever. When do you get a time to study? It's not that you don't want to,
Right.
but most that some people just don't have the time or don't have the ability sometimes because of their age, or some people learn things faster than others. I don't agree with not trying,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure most people tries.
Right.
But then we have people criticizing
Yeah.
our accents.
And I tell people this here, right? Imagine when y'all go on y'all vacations. Everybody listen to my show, right? And you go to a foreign country, right?
Yeah.
And you knew you was going for 2 or 3 years. Why didn't you learn the language? Why did you learn the formalities of that language, right? And when you get there, how do you feel when you can't speak it or you don't understand it, right?
Mhm.
You're now the immigrant. You're now the foreigner. Now you're dependent on other people to treat you right, right? When you get there, if you're in a foreign country and something happens and you can't get out, now you're that person. Now you're in their country. How do you feel,
Oh.
right? And that's what I'm saying. So when the people who say they don't listen to the show today, or they turn it up and say you don't care, like I would say, put yourself in that situation. You don't have to care because it's not your problem, but we can have empathy for the people who try. Now, this is what I would say for me on this show. Once you get here and you get into our country, right, where we live, figure out a way to get it right like you did.
Right.
Figure out a way to get yourself in here and ingratiate yourself and treat this country with respect.
Right.
Get a job, pay your taxes, and figure out how, whatever system you can
Right.
get into. I'm not for anybody coming to this country illegally, but I don't think I'm here promoting it. But I do understand, like, if people do that, right? It's like if you choose to do drugs, if you choose to go out there and do anything else, it's a choice, and there's a consequence behind it. And I think listening to this show today, understand that there's a penalty that every parent knows that they may pay, which they may not make it through. Their child may be taken from them, or they may never see their child again. So when you see people actually coming here, like Maria said earlier in the show, no one is getting off their sofa right at home, looking at TV and watching Netflix and saying, "Hey, I'm finna go through the jungle and try to come to America today for an opportunity." Right. Before we get out of here, I want to make sure that Maria, is there anything that you want to say to this audience that you want to leave with them today?
Nada más want to thank everybody that is listening, and hopefully, if we educate anyone on something that they didn't know, if you have any comments, please put them in the comments. And just I guess in the perfect world, if we have just a little more sympathy for the rest of us,
Mhm.
if we can share our blessings,
Mhm.
because I think a lot of it is where, why would I share my blessings? I work for my blessings. But if we can share it, it will be multiplied.
Mhm.
And I just want to ask everybody to just have a little more sympathy, listen to them, and see how we can come together.
Diana?
Well, thank you for having us. The only thing that I would say is that, like she mentioned, having sympathy for, the rest of the world. Doesn't matter the color, the language, or, what they speak, but like actually try to think, what would you do if you would be in their situation? If that was just the only chance that you could have
Mm.
of actually having a different future. Like you mentioned, we all made different choices, whether we were going to drink alcohol, whether we want to do drugs.
Mm.
I mean, I tell my daughter, all bad decisions have bad consequences,
Yes.
and they're always gonna come back, and they're not gonna go anywhere.
Mm.
So thinking about others and um, the sympathy that you could have for
Mm.
another
Other
human,
situation, other
that
situation.
can make a difference. That can make a change. Because earlier when you mentioned, about the conversation that your dad had to have with you
Mhm.
because of your skin color,
Mhm.
I mean, it is not the same conversation that a white father had with
It's
with
not the
their
same
son.
conversation your father had with you.
And then it's not the same conversation that my dad had with me.
Your conversation,
You
your
know,
table was
the-
because of the country you was in, the danger that you was in, how you had
Yes.
to, yeah.
And then about how I needed to follow the rules,
Mhm.
how I needed to do things a lot better,
Yeah.
than the
Other
rest
people.
of the world here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
I get it.
so I wouldn't be singled out,
Right.
basically.
Right.
So we've really had to work twice
You
than
know, right.
than anyone
You have
else.
to work a little harder.
I think any person in this America, let me say this to all Americans, everybody works hard.
Mhm.
That's not American that the hard breathing American blood that don't work hard. But what some people don't understand is that there are some people in our country that have to work in a different manner, have to walk in a different way, have to think in a different way
Yes.
because of their gender or their ethnicity, right? Now, you may not see that, but they are taught from a young age that this is instilled in us as kids or what we have to do. And that's just a conversation that you just didn't have to have. And I'm not mad at that. It's just the way the world is, but that is a reality. That's why I said I do understand it. And I have to say, thank you to your grandparents and your parents for making you women strong enough today, right, to get to where you are, to come to this country, right, and be citizens, work hard. And this is one thing I'm going to say for myself, honestly, and I've said this earlier. I don't think anybody most people don't come here. I ain't gonna say anybody. Most people don't come here to be lazy, right? Most people do not come to the land of opportunity to come here to do
waste
bad things and waste it. Do we have bad people that come through our borders that do
Yes.
bad things, right? And the numbers are too high? Yes, we do. But I would say to each one of you ladies, I think you don't want to have nothing to do with neither one of none of those people, regardless if they're your same ethnicity, correct?
Right.
Right.
Exactly. A criminal is a criminal.
The criminals are criminals. Doesn't matter the ethnicity, the color.
Right,
If you're a
They're
bad person, you're
criminals.
just a
They
bad
have to-
person.
yeah.
right,
A bad
And-
human.
right. And so when we're having this conversation, as you guys are watching this today, man, love is the ultimate thing that you can have. Have a coffee and have a conversation in love with somebody, right? When you see things being said on TV or you see things being said on social media, my mama taught me this. I'm sure everybody's mama. If you ain't got nothing nice to say,
Don't
Don't
say
say
nothing
it.
at all.
and how you say that in Spanish?
Si no tienes nada bueno que decir, no digas nada.
That's the same.
All of us
Yes, it
need to, all of us need to do that. And can I say this to everybody listening to our show? And please tell them this: stop responding to people who disagree with you,
Right.
because you cannot make somebody understand
If they don't want to.
if they don't want to.
Yeah.
It's just going to keep doing this here, right?
Yes.
So your truth is your truth. If you want to tell anybody to see your story, tell them to go watch the show, right? And they can come in there, right?
Right.
At the end of the day. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
This is a show of love and a cup of coffee, right? Ice Studio, te amo. Y'all have a great day.